This is Chef Paul, and today I'm going to make some homemade brownies for my wife. Because our good friend Sarah happened to bring it up, and my wife started to go a little foamy at the mouth and started getting baring her teeth, and so okay, fine, I will make some homemade brownies for her. I'm not a brownie eater, so this is kind of a stolen recipe, but I'm going to try to make it a little bit better. So in here I've got half a cup of butter, and I'm just melting it down a little bit. Now my wife's a little upset because we spent the whole day yesterday cooking, and I'm making two things today. One I'm filming and one I'm not. So we've got half a cup of butter, and apparently I need it wants eggs and sugar. So you want to be careful when you're cracking eggs, because you don't want your eggs to get an eggshell here, because you should have brownie, not eggs. Not a good thing. So I'm going to grab my whisk here, and the butter is done now, so I'm going to take that off the heat. I'm just going to whisk this, and this says that it wants a cup of sugar. So let's find some sugar that we actually like to cook with. When I cook with sugar, I usually cook with stuff like stevia, stuff like that. So I know I've got 2 cups here, so I only want 1 cup. Oh yes. This is not actual sugar, by the way. This is a form of stevia, ordered off of Amazon. I'll have to come back to the website later to find out what the actual brand is, because I don't remember right this second. We ordered quite a few different brands just to try them out. Generally speaking, we don't need to, if it says a cup, if you're using stevia or something like that, it's usually half a cup. But since this is for Amy, she likes it super sweet, I'm going to put the full cup in. Generally cooking, I don't really like adding a whole lot of sugar because I'm diabetic and I'm not allowed to have it. But since my wife has been asking so nicely, we will be doing this for her. So I'm going to mix this in here. I'm going to give it a little bit of a stir it up just a little bit here with the eggs. Now you want to whisk it really good, because honestly, the last thing you want to have when you're putting this in your brownie pan is you don't really want to have chunks. Chunks suck. Now our friend Sarah is saying that she's used to making this via mix. You know what? I'm not a big fan of mixes. They suck. I really don't like them. Mixes just make a big mess. Okay, I'll go that way. So, now we want some vanilla. Vanilla is really good. It gives it a nice little rich texture to it. Just gotta figure out where it is. Here we go. I'm gonna splash some vanilla on that. And I'm gonna put a little bit of cinnamon. Cinnamon always does good. If you're diabetic, if you put cinnamon stuff, it actually helps the flavor. Believe it or not, cinnamon really does. It's got a beautiful, beautiful texture to it, and it actually helps eat away a lot of the extra stuff in there you don't want. And now I think we're good. Okay, so when we want, so now we want 1/3 cup of cocoa. And where did I put my... It's a little bit more than I wanted, but you know what? Like Amy always says, there's no such thing as too much chocolate. Leave it to a Dutch woman. All seriousness aside, another thing you can really do is you can one thing you can really do too is you can take some chocolate bars.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a really favorite chocolate bar you like.
Or peppermint.
Peppermint, yeah. But now if you have chocolate bars you like, instead of using all this cocoa, you can actually start stirring in. You can cut up and melt the chocolate bar. Like, use a couple of them. I mean, this is your brownie. I mean, I'm almost become to ask if Amy has a chocolate bar she wants to use.
Nah.
But
we don't have any.
Do I have my chocolate bar left?
You might.
Probably not. Chocolate bars last about 10 seconds in this house. I go out and bring groceries home, Amy comes in, and voila. You go out and go get some fresh air for a minute. And where's the chocolate go? Amy will say the boogeyman came and got it, but we all know what the truth is. We're going to mix this in really good here. So now we're going to get 1/2 cup of flour. I tend to be a little bit of a redneck the way I do things, so it's just a common thing around here. So I'm going to grab my mess maker here, and we need half a cup of flour. So, now we need to set this to 350. And then we need some baking powder, and I know we have it because we used it yesterday.
At the very top, hun.
Ah, here we go. You gotta forgive me a little bit just because this is an off-the-cuff thing. I'm getting threatened for my life if I don't make this. That should be good enough. And then we're going to need a little bit of salt. Salt really brings out the richness and flavor of everything. Well, I'm going to tell you don't really need or want to have a whole lot of salt. That's enough to make you sick. right? If you have high blood pressure, or you don't, if you start eating with a lot of salt, believe me, you're going to have problems later. So now you're going to take your whisk and you're going to just... Now the only thing here is I'm not going to be using, I'm not going to have any frosting. I don't really like a whole lot of frosting, to be honest with you. And I find frosting to be a little bit much. For some people, it's just not a good thing. It's not good for you, and you know, Amy's borderline diabetic as it is, so I think I'd be causing her a little bit of issues if I did. So we're not going to do that. All right. So now I need to find a pan to put this in. Now, I've got the oven preheating, and I'll be done in about 2 minutes. So just to make sure, if you have any parchment paper, it's probably the best thing you'll ever use. We just ran out. Go figure. So I'm just going to put some olive oil, and I'm just going to paint it around there, just to make it a little bit better, right? Just make sure your brownies don't stick to everything, so when you go to cut them out, they're not impossibly hard or a big pain in the butt when you go to cut them. Because believe me, that can really be a very, very painful thing. Now, you're going to pour this in here, and then you're going to throw it in the oven, 350 for 30 minutes. 25 to 30 minutes, should I say. Watch your brownies, because, sorry to say, guys, not watching your brownies will result in having a big mess. or they'll burn. And you know what? They say you shouldn't cry over spilled milk. Amy will cry over burned brownies. And then I'll get beaten up later for it. And I know this is going to get clean when my back's turned. Amy just loves doing dishes. But I don't think she's going to be running it through the dishwasher first. So if Amy has a little bit of a brown nose later, I know exactly what's going on. So you want to make sure that you're getting as much of this as you can. Now, if I was smart, I probably would have just done this in the same pan and cooking it in, but it is what it is. Maybe next time. I like having this because, yes, it's not really meant to be for cooking, but I love having it because it gives me the opportunity to actually have a much bigger mixing space. So, Amy, do I put this right in the sink when I'm done?
No.
And you want to get as much mixes out here as you can, because you know if you don't, Amy's just going to pig out on it anyways. Maybe Sarah will join her. Probably will. Sarah's not saying a whole lot. By the way, Amy, show Sarah on the camera, please.
There.
This is our friend Sarah. Any eligible guys that know how to treat a woman, drop me a line, and I can hook you up with a opportunity to have a discussion with her. Very lovely young lady. One of our best friends, so if you hurt her, I'll kill you. Somebody has to play Big Brother around here. Alright, so now I have to clean everything off of here before I can start spreading this out. Just believe me, this is going to be a little bit of a pain. Clean this out of your whisk. And then we're going to start spreading her around so that, you know, it's even, right? So you don't want it like this, unless you're feeding it to one person. I know Amy thinks that way right now, but whether you like it or not, Amy, you have to share a little bit. I know you have a hard time with that, especially when it comes to chocolate. I was thinking about getting some cake castings so I could actually make them a little bit more decorative. Somebody wants to private message me and tell me, based on the color of this, what I'm thinking about. I'll mention in the next video. I'm going to set the timer for about 25 minutes, just because I don't really think we need to have a full 30. It's not that thick. It's just a small batch of brownies. I doubt they'll last more than a night anyways, but... And you hear comments in the background, and you know I'm right.
No.
10 minutes. I'm going to tell you a little story before I put this in. Once upon a time, I went out and I made this big thing of chocolate cake and chocolate muffins, so I was going to bring them north to share with all the girls. Went out, finished it, put it out, was done baking, I set it out to start cooling. Went out and had a smoke. 10 minutes later, I come in, and they're gone. All gone. So you telling me I'm crazy. So I'm going to set that in there, and I'm going to set the timer for 25 minutes. I can give you a choice. You can either sit and watch what we're doing for the next 25 minutes, or I just let you go for now and we'll come back when we're ready. I think we'll come back when we're ready. Welcome back to Poul's Kitchen, and due to Sarah and Amy's request, here is my brownie. And again, I'm not putting any frosting on there. Feel free to do what you want with that. Amy's borderline diabetic, I'm diabetic, Sarah's fine, but I'm not doing it just for Sarah, because we still have to eat quite a bit of this. It's just good, you know what I mean? You can cut it up, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to take a good knife. Of course, we're going to take this. And Amy?
Mm-hmm.
No, they're not going to be put into long lanes.
Hun!
So we're just going to cut them like this. I mean, you can make your frosting if you want. You can go out and buy it. It's really not that expensive. If you really want, you can go to the dollar store and get plenty of them there. And we've already greased the sides of them, so they'll be pretty easy to get out. And there are my brownies, and they'll be gone in 10 minutes, so look at them now. If you want one, run over really quick, and I do mean run because Amy's mouth is going to be brown really soon. So my brownies, please hit the little bell button, subscribe, like, and please share. I need some more viewers. It makes me feel like I'm actually doing something worthwhile. And take a good look at the brownies before Speaking Bells takes into them. Have a great day, and thank you for being here.